Virginia, as we were waiting, I was talking about FICO scoring, just briefly. And as soon as I got into it, you popped in. So if anyone's has any questions about that, since we kind of started off saying that, if anybody has questions or wants me to quickly just explain any of that, just raise your hands. If not, you can wait until the next Zoom. Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. How may I help you with that?
So like, what's the deal with the FICO test?
It's a problem. It's a serious, like, it's so serious of a problem, and it's so destructive that I thought I would just do like one Zoom and then we're good. Nobody's catching on until the people that are applying for a home. And now I have to do a video. I think I have to do at least once every other week. So in a nutshell, this is the only scoring module out of all the FICO scores. So remember, we had FICO Classic all the way up to FICO 10T. That's where we're at today. On average, because companies don't even know what a 10T is. Underwriters probably know, but your average customer service rep, your average broker, they don't know what it is, right? So what they're doing is, this is the only FICO scoring system that has two versions of itself. So there's FICO 10, and then there's a FICO 10T. FICO 10 and a FICO 10T. When you look up your credit score right now, if you go on my FICO, it will say that we're on FICO 8, because your average consumer and your average company is pulling a FICO 8 score. It's supposed to be every 5 years a new score comes out, but with the pandemic, they dropped the FICO 10T as a tester. Nobody saw it coming. I saw it. I saw it. I said, ooh, what's that? Something's about to go down. Then they pulled it, made some fixings. Okay, they fixed it up, and then they dropped it again about 6-7 months ago. So what happens is the FICO 10T is basically going back in time 2 years. So they're going to look in your past and see how you were, and then they're going to give you a credit score based on how they think you're going to be in the future. So regardless of where you're at today. So if you fixed your credit today, and let's say you got yourself to a 750, I don't know, just pull it. But yesterday you were at a 540, and then you go to apply, and a company is using a FICO 10T scoring system, your score is going to drop. It's going to be at least 100 points lower. I can actually show you an example if you guys don't mind. I have a client, she's like my favorite client, and she has a high credit score. And I'm literally, if you guys don't mind, I will share this with you just so you guys can see. Oh, I guess I'm freezing. Hold on. I'm so sorry for the freezation. It's something weird with my computer. Ever since I updated my Zoom. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And log in. Actually
Is this site like legitimate in tracking your scores?
Yes.
Like all the different scores that they have, like pretty accurate?
Yes. Actually, let me stop sharing for a minute. I forgot to update my cookies. I have to pull her personal. But yes, so I will explain it like this. When I run somebody's credit, it's a soft pull, right? And I'm using a credit monitoring company called Smart Credit. I'm actually in the process of being interviewed with Smart Credit as we speak, right? So if you're familiar with with Identity IQ, then you should be familiar with Smart Credit. They're competitors, and it will pull from your credit report, and then it will read everything. I can see everything. The difference between a FICO and what I'm doing, what I'm looking at, is that it gives you what's called a Vantage score. Vantage is not what a lot of companies look at. They look at FICO. So if you're trying to purchase a home, or your client is trying to purchase a home, what you have to keep in mind is that underwriter is going to solely look at FICO. No one really looks at Vantage. They don't really know it exists. Now, if you have a customer that is trying to get an apartment, some apartment complexes use Vantage because it's cheaper. That's all. The scoring system is lower and different than FICO. So for example, if your client might have like a 750 on Vantage, but you look on FICO, it might be 40 points higher. So it's kind of strange, but yeah, it's important that you know this information. So I want to show you guys, and again, thank you for your patience. This is impromptu, but it's pretty important. And I like to show proof, and I like for it to be live enough so you guys can see for yourselves what's going on. So only thing is I just didn't have her login in front of me for FICO. Hold on for a second. Usually have it. I didn't want to accidentally share it on the Zoom, but I have been communicating with her for so long. Usually, bear with me, guys. So sorry. Okay, I think I got it. So with hers, the reason why I wanted to show you hers is, for one, Tony was always, that's her name, and she's, just so you guys know, she's completely okay with me using her, showing her FICO, so I'm not violating anything. But Tony, she pretty much had a good, decent credit score. Even when I first started working with her, she needed a few things basically corrected, but that was it. But then FICO 10 hit. And then it dropped her 100 points under FICO 10C. So bear with me. Let me, for some reason, I can't find her login. Okay. So I have to go on my emails. Again, guys, thank you for your patience. I'm trying to show you proof of all this just so you can see. And just have to find her login for FICO. I've had it for so long. Okay. Jeez Louise. Okay, why don't I use, just for the sake of time, I hate dead air, but just for the sake of time, I will pull up someone that's not hers, but so you can at least still see what FICO looks like and the differences that it is making. Okay, so you should be able to see everything. Let me pull this down. Let me go back to my FICO. Where the heck is it? All right. All right, I'm gonna pull up. I don't know who that person is. Okay, this is a good person to use. All right, so, all right, this person, actually, we're looking at their FICO 4 score. I'm not worried about that. So we're gonna pretend that we just logged into their account. Usually when you first log in to your account, it takes you straight to the dashboard. I was looking at something earlier. So this is the dashboard. So because I was looking at something earlier, picked up where I left off, I needed to see older models. Now they don't have the best credit score. This client is actively working on their credit as we speak. This is a new client of mine. But on average, everyone is looking at, companies are looking at a FICO 8. So this is what our FICO 8 looks like, right? When you try to get some credit cards, sometimes they use a FICO 8, but the good thing about the My FICO is you can actually pull up the different types of score versions you want to look at. So if you're trying to get a credit card, you want to see what your score is or what FICO scoring system they use, you can click on it, and then you see bank card, they use score 8, 9, and the old ones 5, 4, 2, and 3. Right? So pay attention to the numbers. If you're looking at a lower score, the lower FICO score, 5, 4, and 2, then you'll see the differences in the numbers, 637, 619, 601. Now let's look at a FICO bank score 8. You see the numbers are drastically, or like they're different. You're now in the 500s here, right? So mortgage, since a lot of you guys are somehow connected to mortgage, let's just look at this new version. As you can see, it's a new version. You have your mortgage score, but then you have your new version. So this is what lenders are looking at. So when your client is applying for a mortgage, right? Is this a free feature? No, ma'am, it's not. It's not free. You have to pay for this. When Miss Tony, for example, she's a real estate agent in DC. That's my favorite client that I told you about. She sends me referrals all the time, but she says she only wants them to have my smart credit so I can dispute, but she wants everybody to have the FICO as well and pay for the FICO because this is the only platform that will give you an actual FICO credit score. She wants to see what the lenders will see before she sends her client out and get their credit right? So let's say you have a client and they're coming to you like, oh, I know my credit score. It's 600. It's my average score is 6. What is this? Is the average 608 if they're both the same? Okay, let's say 608, right? And I should be able to qualify for such and such because I'm at what the lender's going to do is say, okay, great. Let me look at your mortgage score and see where you're at. Totally different scoring system. They're at 634, 580, 625, right? Now, mortgages, when you look at the lower credit scores, they are less forgiving than the newer credit scores like a FICO 8. Now let's look at this FICO 10T. This is a new version. This is the FICO 10, FICO 10T, but then if you notice, they have a FICO auto score, which is new, right? Which is a FICO auto score 10 and a FICO bank card score 10. I know this is extremely confusing. I will have my PowerPoint again. I will keep posting it. I didn't record it the last time. That was my fault. So I'll do it again in 2 weeks. But this is what companies are supposed to start looking at. And there's a difference in the score. Let's look at the FICO 10T. Completely different. They're looking at this person from 2 years ago. And this is them now. This was them 2 years ago. And this is what they're judging them on. But this is their basic FICO score. It's actually better. It's better than their regular FICO score. And then this is their bank score, their bank card. So if they wanted a credit card, if that company uses FICO 10, this is what their scores would be like. Let's look at someone else. I really wish we could use Tony's because, like I said, for sure, she has a really good credit score. So I'll use someone else's that I do believe they have a pretty good credit score. And again, I know this is going to be confusing. Definitely join the Zoom call because I actually do a whole breakdown on what the different scoring systems are, and just so it makes sense. Bear with me. And the whole problem again with this is, oh wow, it's not letting me in for whatever reason. The reason why this is a major problem is it just prevents people that were capable of purchasing a home before it stops them from being able to purchase a home, or it makes it more complicated. I'm hearing about a lot of people's loans being rejected. They're being asked for way more information they were never asked for. They had never had to provide before. It's definitely changing. And usually if you hear any changes with the credit bureaus, more than likely everyone in the industry is going to be affected. So that means the mortgage lenders, that's the credit card companies, everybody's going to somehow be affected. I think this is someone I used recently. I forgot if they have a good credit score or not. Nope, they do not. Okay. But this is another one. This is their FICO score, their FICO 8. So they think when this person came to me, she was like, oh, I'm pretty cool, right? She was looking at her FICO 8. She's like, I just need a little bit of credit repair, nothing major. So I said, okay, cool, right? And she's trying to get a house. So what I have to do is I have to click on mortgage scores and see what a lender will look at. Now you see how our score dropped drastically. So a lender is looking at the score, the FICO 5, 4, and 2. Your average person, your average consumer is looking at this. They're looking at the FICO 8. In all actuality, we haven't looked at a FICO 8 in a long time. We're actually at a FICO 9, and 10 was released 7 months ago in 10T. But usually it takes about 6 months to a year for everybody to catch up. So a lot of companies are just familiar with the 8. They don't know that the 9 is out. But now let's look at this person's FICO 10. FICO 10, that's where they're at. This is their FICO 10, and this is their FICO 10T score. Not that huge of a difference. Okay, but it looks nothing like their regular score. This is their bank card score. Either way, they just have bad credit, poor. It's all in the red. Now I can go on and on about this forever. And again, I didn't mean to cut in to the time, Virginia's time, and I'll edit this part out, Virginia, don't worry. But like I stated, we were talking about this before you hopped on. So if anybody had any questions about it, just let me know. Or like I say, you just wait until I do the Zoom call on it and I break everything down. But does anybody have any questions or concerns?
I have a question.
Yes.
They're going back 2 years, you said?
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So when they go back to 2 years, and if it's kind of like close to what it is today, then you should be okay, right?
Yes, ma'am. For the most part. Yeah. So in my opinion, and I talk about this in the in my webinar about this, is in my opinion, think about when they first released the FICO 10T, when they did that beta tester. That was during the pandemic. How long ago was the pandemic? When did it first start? Are we going on 2.5 years now? Right? So now they released the FICO 10T. If the FICO 10T goes back 2 years, your average person will not have a good credit score if that lender is using a FICO 10T. So during the pandemic, and I'm gonna include myself on that, I bought my first home during the height of the pandemic. When the pandemic first came out, I quickly fixed my credit. I fixed my credit in less, I think 3 or 4 months, and purchased a home. So now I have a home. But if I were to now, so to speak, if my credit is messed up now, if I go and try to purchase another home under the FICO 10T, they're going to go backwards and say, oh, okay, so your credit's bad now, but you fixed it then. So they'll go by then, right? And assume that on moving forward, I'll be fine. But what about if a person today fixed their credit today, but 2 years ago during the height of pandemic, when they didn't know anything about credit or whatever, they just started working their credit or educating themselves and their score was lower. If they go to a lender and that lender is using the FICO 10T, it's going to go back those 2 years and say, oh, your credit was messed up then. And we're going to assume ongoing that you're going to continue to have bad credit, and then they're going to give you a lower scoring system. But some people, the people it won't affect are those people that you're referring to. People that already had good credit, people who had good, decent credit then, you know. Another group of people that is hitting really hard it's hitting latenesses. Latenesses were always a problem before, but now this new FICO system is really focusing on whether or not you're making your payments on time, and they're focused on your utilization with your credit card debt. That's a new thing with them. Each FICO scoring system, each module, the reason why they exist is to basically filter out the risk factor. Are you high risk or not? And every time they release a new FICO score, it's just supposed to be better and better. But having the FICO 10 and the FICO 10T and the fact that they can go back in the past and they're focusing on latenesses, like one lateness can drop you 150 points now. You know what I'm saying? Like one lateness is worse than having a collection and a charge off. One lateness is worse than having a bankruptcy. Having a high utilization now is more detrimental to your credit report than ever. So if you can't predict where this is going, credit and having personal credit is going to eventually be obsolete. Because if they're going back 2 years now, what are they going to do with a FICO 15? Go back 15 years? I mean, if that's the case, we're all kind of messed up after that, right? There's no chance. There's no hope at that point. Unless you've always had good credit. If you've always had good credit, then this doesn't apply to you. But as you can see, this is the separation. They're separating us more and more financially. Those that qualify, you get a house. Those that don't, sorry for you. And we don't care what you fixed. We don't care where you're at today. So that's not all of my Zoom, but in a nutshell, that's what's going on with FICO 10.
Thanks, Tamiya.
You're welcome. I know I said a mouthful.
No, it's interesting. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Does anybody else have any questions or anything like that? Any concerns or have any questions for Virginia? Okay. Well, I'm not going to keep you guys. Thank you so much, Virginia, for being on and being our speaker. I appreciate it. Again, this is going to be posted everywhere. So your information is here. I'll make sure it's posted. So if anyone needs to get in contact with you, they can. You're welcome. And my information is available as well. You're welcome. And definitely look out for.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You know, you're one of my favorite people out there in New York. So I appreciate you getting on. It means a lot. All right, you guys have a great night. You're welcome. And I look to see you guys on the next Zoom call. All right, take care.